Beep. This is a voicemail that's not really actually a voicemail. It's me. It's Jared. I don't know why I started it off that way, but I guess it's because Steven still isn't here. Steven will be on the show next week, at least that's what he told me. He said he was currently at the pediatrician's office with the little bundle of joy, and I may go over to take some photos of the baby tomorrow. Not that Steven can't take photos of the baby, but I wanted to get photos of Steven with the baby and Nicole, because I'm sure Steven takes great photos there of the baby, but he won't be in some of them, and that's why I want to go over there and take some photos with him. So I was unable to get anybody else to come on the show. I'm actually recording this later than normal. It's 5:57 in the evening because I was in New York City the last day and a half at the Build conference, the B&H's Build thing, and I actually needed to take a little nappy nap on my sofa over there that I'm pointing that you can't tell where I'm pointing to, and just to feel a little bit better. I'm tired, and it's not from staying up late and partying and hookers and blow in New York City, though that would have been interesting. That didn't actually happen, but it's actually more tiring because I have to be on 100% of the time when I'm at these events because I'm getting stopped by a million people. I can stand in one place and I'll take like 73 selfies. And I don't mean that in a bad way, and I'm not upset by doing it at all. I'm going to talk about that more in this episode. But yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about the Build conference, not sponsored, but I want to talk about my presentation. I scared the shit out of B&H with my presentation title. They had no clue what I was going to do. No one had a clue about what I was going to do because I honestly didn't know what I was going to do until about last week when I decided on doing something. And I'll explain it to you. And I'll also link down below in the description, which is not down below on your podcasting app. No, it's in the description of your podcasting app. There will be a link which will take you directly to my presentation, which starts at like 6 hours and 44 minutes of the B&H live stream. So hopefully they keep it up there. But you can go watch it, 45-ish minutes, and it's a really good watch. I suggest that you do. So I'm going to talk about that. Casey Neistat spoke. We've got some other things to talk about. And by we, I mean, it's just going to be me. But the thing that I want to say first, do you remember last week when I was yawning quite a bit? And I put a bunch of people to sleep. I got a call from my friend. He's like, I'm on a long drive. I had to turn off your podcast because you were yawning so much. And I think I figured out why I was yawning so much. The reason I was yawning so much is I was trying not to have any downtime, any just dead air on the podcast at all. Because when Steven's editing the podcast, he goes through and he cleans it up. I actually have never listened to an episode that he's edited after we've done it. I've never really listened back. But he cleans it and keeps it flowing because we hate those podcasts where they leave in stuff that shouldn't be left in. Or they cut at wrong times and they just don't clean things up. Steven takes probably too much care in editing the podcast and takes longer to do. Steven does a lot of things that take the right amount of time. See how I said that? The right amount of time for him to feel comfortable with it. There's times I say, ship it, get it done, let's go. No one's going to notice a difference. And I'm more of that ilk of just getting something done sometimes and getting it out into the world versus getting it perfect because I don't really want to spend a day, a half a day or more working on editing this thing when I think it was really meant to be something that we just do and put it out raw. You know, with some things taken out that we shouldn't say that we cut out. But anyway, he does a great job. So the yawning thing happens when I believe I'm talking too fast, I'm not breathing enough, I'm not getting enough oxygen. Yawning is something that happens when your body is not getting enough oxygen. Also when you're tired, but when you're not getting enough oxygen, like when I'm talking too fast and I'm not taking time to breathe. So I'll try to go a little slower today so it doesn't end up feeling like... So look, I have this thing where I listen to podcasts at 2x speed. I can listen to books, depending on who's doing the audiobook, at 2.7x speed. I watch my YouTube videos at 2x speed. And I feel like, except if they're speaking a foreign language, in which case I don't listen to it at 2x speed because then I can't understand it sometimes. But I feel like I sometimes try to talk really, really fast because my brain is so trained to listening to things at 2x that when I go slower, it feels like it's going too slow and it's going to be painful for people, which I know it's not. But that's just my brain. Like when I'm doing Photo News Fix, I am doing Photo News Fix at such a rapid clip, it's not even funny. Like I'm reading super fast and I'm talking really fast because I end up watching it really fast. But it doesn't really need to be that fast. I cannot watch Photo News Fix at regular speed. I've tried to watch it at regular speed because I have to watch the video back to approve it and make sure everything's fine and all. But when I try to watch it at regular speed, it just sounds like this. It sounds like that to me. And so that's not good at all when I'm trying to, it's just too slow for me. So continuing on. Last week, I put out the messy vlog. I'll try not to speak too fast so I don't end up yawning 8,000 times. I put out the messy vlog. Very difficult video to go ahead and title because I don't know what to title it. I thought Lionel Messi in the title would be big, but people, with the primary audience of the United States, maybe it's not the right title, which is possible. So I put in there, did I fail, ... or I failed, or did I? Something along those lines. And the video didn't do that great. But it's still moving. The reason I bring it up is I suggest that you watch it. I give away 8 photos on there, right? I put them on Flickr, and I uploaded them at 40 inches on the longest edge. So they're full beyond full res that anybody can print them if they want on their own printer at home. I have no problem giving those images away. I'm not going to sell them. I'm sure I could sell them, but I'm not going to profit off of that in that sense. That's just not how it's going to be because that would probably get me banned and get me in trouble. You're not really supposed to do that stuff when you are shooting. Like I shouldn't be selling Phillies images, which I don't. I don't sell the Major League Baseball stuff. I give it away because I feel that that's the right thing to do. I shouldn't be selling them. That's not what I'm there to do. I'm there to document. I'm there to share. I'm there to test product. And then I'm going to give the pictures away, which is what I'm doing with Messi. 5 people who bought Pro Pack 4. So if you buy Pro Pack 4, you'll be entered. If you already bought Pro Pack 4, you're already entered. And 5 people who just leave a comment on that video are going to get a chance to be selected at random to win a print that I will mail to them. I will be doing that next week, going through because I haven't had a chance this week. I've been pretty tied up and... Damn it, there's a yawn. I'm sorry. I think that's just because I'm tired. I don't want to... Steven, cut out my yawns. I wonder how many yawns Steven's going to have next week. We're going to get to finally hear about the name, the meaning of it. We're going to get to hear about Steven and how he's doing with the bebe. And then we'll move on from there. So a lot of this that I want to talk about is related to my experience at the event that B&H put on. It's an interesting event. We haven't had in-person events like this in New York in a while for the photo community. You have WPPI, you have these other smaller events out west for those photography organizations. You have PPA, Professional Photographers of America, do a pretty big conference, actually. They do a big one. They did it in D.C. I went one year, and I think they're doing it in Tennessee next year. That conference is not for me. It really isn't. I'm not a big fan of it. I think B&H did a very good job. It's a free event. And the way that I look at it is that the vendors have to be there. If they sell at B&H, Nikon, Canon, Sony, they got to be there. They got to give, pay for the booth. They just have to. They have to budget it because B&H is so big and so important in the industry that they have to do it. I will say that B&H does things right as a large company. They're not just about the money. And I'm saying this myself. This is from my own experience in working with them. I will say that I 100% always will and always do and continue to support Allen's Camera first and foremost. I recommend that anybody goes and check out Allen's Camera for new and used gear. A great mom and pop store that's been around for over 40 years. I think it was 1979, which makes it like 43 years at this point, older than me. That's 44 years. And I recommend that you always check out Allen's Camera if you have the ability to do so. If you come to town, you want to check them out, they're in Levittown, PA, check out a mom and pop store, call them to see if they can help you out. first and foremost. And then when I've worked with B&H in the past on different things, we've done different things. They sponsor some of RAWtalk, no, not the podcast. They sponsor my Photo News Fix at times. I've done different things with them where I've gone to their store and done stuff. They've never said you can't promote Alan's camera. In fact, they're always like, we encourage you to continue to work with Alan's camera. We love the mom and pop store. They're not afraid. See, that's one thing. They're not afraid of a smaller mom and pop store that does a really good business, but they're not afraid of them. They're in a different league. It's just totally a different league that B&H is in. And so I've said it before that B&H has, anytime I need gear, which I don't use this very often with them. I did with the new Fuji gear, not the new Fuji gear, but when I borrowed the GFX 100S and the lenses, and they sent me $18,000 worth of gear the next day because I asked for it to test it out. And I will be sending it back in a couple of weeks when I'm done the vlog. But they don't ask a lot of questions. They understand the benefit of sending stuff to creators. And it's not just me. I know Manny Ortiz does a lot of work with them and gets a bunch of gear to play with and test out because it's just easier sometimes to go through the store. All they ask for is that you exclusively say that you got it from the store and put a link there to an affiliate link so that people can go ahead and find it and make a purchase. I actually don't push affiliate links very often with what I do. We never see a lot of sales from it, but maybe it's because I don't specifically mention it as much. I probably should mention more in the description when I do gear videos that if you'd like to purchase it, we should probably start cutting that in, or we should do another pop-up, Steven and Dan. We should do another pop-up at the top that pops down. We'll call it a pop down, like pop-up video. That's where we got that from, the pop down. I just thought it was a great way to not interrupt a video, but put it in the video without interrupting and cutting to something else and still have something that people will read. So maybe we need to do a pop down that's like, do you want to purchase this? Use our affiliate links down below. It helps us. Let me make a note to Steven. Affiliate link. Here we go. Affiliate. Maybe I should do it. Link pop up down. Pop down. Affiliate link pop down would be a good thing for us to put in there. Don't know where I was going with that, so I'll just have to try and get back on task here. But yeah, maybe I should do that pop down so that people do remember that they can purchase through us. Not through us, but through our affiliates with Alan's camera down below, B&H. Sometimes we put Amazon there. It's wherever you're most comfortable doing it. I'm not as comfortable putting it on Amazon, buying from Amazon, because you never know where that gear is coming from. With Brandon at Alan's camera and B&H, you know that it's the real deal stuff. Amazon still can be a little shady at times with where gear is coming from, and it might not be worth the risk. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So I was asked to speak at this B&H event. I ended up doing two things. There was a panel, which was industry insiders. So basically buyers for different companies, different brands. They were at this industry track panel that I was on with a couple of people, Laser from B&H, who's one of the buyers, and then another guy who's in charge of just embargoed material, getting it ready and prepped to go live when it goes live. And then Jeffrey, who's the head of their marketing, who's just a tremendous person. I mean, talk about doing business right. These guys do it right. They really do. I don't want it to sound like a plug because it's not. But they just get it. They get that it's about the customer first and foremost. And if it means losing money in some situations, they know they'll make money in the long term just by doing the right thing, which is the same thing that Alan always told me at Alan's camera. Do the right thing. It will pay off in the long run for us. I'm a big fan of doing the right thing, and it pays off in the long run. That's why we do what we do. So I was on this panel, and it was about marketing or launches and what are the pain points for me as a creator and what would I like to see with launches. And some of it is like, we're really debating, do we go live at the same time that 50 or 60 other creators go live when Sony puts something out? Because if Sony's giving it to 50 or 60 people, are we better off waiting a day or two to put it out and not trying to compete with 50 other people and people then waiting for what I have to say? Because sometimes I feel like we get lost in the mix. Even though people want to hear what I have to say, we might get lost in the mix of 50 and 60 other videos, just at the whim of titles. And if there's 60 people putting out the same titled video, are you going to rank high for it? Versus if you wait a day or two and it was popular, what people were looking for. Maybe the next day they'll be like, oh shit, here's a new piece of content. And by they, I mean YouTube will say that here's a new piece of content. Maybe this will be something we should promote to people. I mean, that happened recently with the Sigma lens video, the 14 millimeter 1.4. They ended up, that video ended up having 109,000 views. It was unexpected. We waited a month to do it. Now, we didn't choose to wait a month. It's just that that's how long it took to get done amongst all the other things that were going on leading up to Steven leaving and having the baby. And so we got it out and it did really well. And that was surprising to us. On the panel, there were some really good questions, like Matthews, the light stand company that makes light stands and some of the highest end light stands, fantastic product. We own a bunch of them. We own their Apple boxes, was asking what could they do as like a legacy brand, and that's a brand that's been around a long time, to get people interested and with social media. And I came up with two things. One thing was have your established filmmakers bring in up-and-coming filmmakers, younger filmmakers, YouTubers, TikTokers, whoever, Instagrammers, and introduce them to what it's like being on a set. And then they see the products that are on the set. Because Matthews light stands aren't for everybody. We use them. The C-stands are the greatest C-stands out there on the market. They're fantastic. They're built extremely well. But it's a very difficult thing. Like, you're going to put a TikTok together and reach 14-year-olds and think that that's the best way to reach people. So one of the things I said was do the mentorship thing. Reach out to young up-and-coming creators. Have them learn from these other people about what products are on set and showcase that. I also mentioned to the companies that I think basic videos that may not do well in terms of views early might be a really good idea to put up on the internet, like my user guides. Why should Nikon, Canon, Sony not be making hour-and-a-half long videos on how to use their new camera, how to set it up, how-to videos? That is what has made me a ton of views and a ton of subscribers. The largest amount of subscribers always comes from the user guides. It's the first introduction to my product, or to me as a product. And so that's why we continue to do them. And the first thing that I do when I'm searching for something, how to do something, I look on YouTube myself. I try to find a video, or watch it in 2x speed, but I try to find a video that's explaining to me what I'm looking for. And so that's what I think a lot of these companies should do. Not just focus on launches. Because when you focus on a launch, you blow your load after the launch, it's gone. But do you have supplementary content to follow it up for months? Do you have educational content to follow it up so that when someone does purchase your product, you show them the how-to setup guide so it's not confusing? It's one thing to read a manual. It's another thing to watch. You know what? Rode does a good job with this. Rode Microphone does it very well. They unbox their own stuff and show you how to set it up and show you how to use it. I think more and more companies need to be doing that. It was the Zappos model back in the day where Zappos had a video of every single shoe and every single product. They showed it to you in and out, and someone told you about it. The Revzilla guys who are from Philly did the same thing. Revzilla is a website for motorcycle equipment and gear. The guy would make videos on every single product and talk to you about them. They may not get a lot of views, but when someone's looking at their website for a product and they see a video on X helmet, they watch it and they're like, oh, well, that's all I needed to know. It showed me what I needed to know. And that's the key when you're making these videos as a business, is to show people what they're going to want to know. Give them the ins and outs. And you're not trying to sell it. You're just trying to show it and let people buy it. Let them make the buying decision. My dad always talked about sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? What can it do for you? Show them what the product can do for you. My dad always told me when I was selling cameras, don't just read the specs on the box. Find a way to wrap it around something that they'd understand and make them understand what it does. It doesn't matter that there's 12.2 megapixels, and it doesn't matter that it shoots at 4 frames a second. That stuff's meaningless. But if I see that person has a kid who's running around, I'm like, oh, you have a 6-year-old. I'm like, is your kid into sports? Are they into the stage stuff? Okay, well, this camera will be great for shooting sports outdoors or indoors. If you check out this lens and this lens, that's going to allow you to stand on the sideline and reach out and get great images of your kid or kids or everybody else's kids playing soccer. If you get down on a low angle, it's going to make the picture look even better, right? So I'm educating and telling them what can it do for them, not just the specs. That's just one of the best sales techniques in the history of sales techniques. It's just sell the sizzle, not the steak. What can it do for you? Find a way to wrap it into something that they'd understand. I do that all the time when I'm teaching. I try to, depending on who I'm talking to, if I know what job or business they're into or something they're into, I try to incorporate that into my education so that they just get it. They're like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense now. And so that's what I try to do in those situations. So it was good being on the stage. I mean, for the panel, the people tried, the B&H people were like, do your darndest, be you, be raw, like say it like it is, tell people. And I did. I always do. I think that's the best thing to do, is to just say it like it is and not really be afraid. So that was the one talk that I gave. I'll talk about the other one in just a second. But I have a funny story, because B&H was doing they did one of these banquet dinners. It was a very, very long banquet dinner. In fact, I went to dinner, not at the banquet, and still got back for the main course and dessert and everything else that happened without knowing. I wasn't going to go because there were so many. I went upstairs and there were over 400 people during cocktail hour just standing there. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't stand there. Just too many people. I didn't. But it is important for me to be around all these people, because I do meet industry people who come up to me and I don't know sometimes I work for this company. I'm like, I've been looking to do something with that company. And then we just get in touch. Actually, when I did the panel, there's always someone who comes up to you after the fact. There was a guy from Ari, the light panels. It was like, I loved what you had to say. A Logitech guy stopped me and said, I'd love to send you some of our product. I think you'll love it. I'm like, are you sure about that? He's like, you're going to love it. I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, don't tell me what I'm going to love. But he's going to send out some Logitech stuff for the guys to use. Maybe a left-handed mouse other than the Magic Mouse. I mean, I'm happy with the Magic Mouse, but I haven't used a real mouse since I used to use Logitech way back in the day. I would use a right-handed mouse on my left hand. It just was the nature of it. I'm left-handed. So, I have to try a left-handed mouse to see if I actually like it, because I was so trained to use the ergonomically right-handed mouse on the left hand. But we'll have to see. I'll have to try it out. They're going to send it out, which is always nice for people to do. So I'm at this at the presentation, the banquet type thing, and Menashe Horowitz, who is the CEO. I think he's the CEO of B&H. He's been around a while. He's up there talking, and he's telling the story of how Build got its name. And he's like, usually I come up with these names. I give these guys a lot of time to come up with names, and then they reach out to me, and sometimes when I'm super tired or traveling overseas, and I tell them I'm going to take 15 minutes, and I'm going to send you the name, and that's going to be the name. So he's like, I came up with Build. And so I told Jeffrey, Jeffrey's the guy who basically put this thing together, and he's like, I told him the name is going to be Build, and that was after 15 minutes of thinking. He's like, Build it is. Lock it. Don't ask me again. It's done. And so when someone in the company heard that the name was going to be Build, sent him an email, and he's like, I'm not going to name the person who sent me an email telling me it's the worst name ever. I should reconsider it and not use it. And that person might be in the room, and if they'd like to stand up, that's up to them. So the guy stands up, and he calls him out, and he's like, yes, this was him. He's like, yes, I did call that out as not being a great name. And he goes on with his story. But he goes on to tell a story about how he also came up with the name Payboo. Remember Payboo? Low on cash, need some money, whatever. That. And we ripped on Payboo, Steven and I. We really ripped Payboo to shreds. And I did a whole segment on Photo News Fix about Payboo. And I dressed up like a pimp. Well, he starts talking about somebody made a YouTube video and it got tons and tons of views. He said hundreds of thousands. I don't believe it got hundreds of thousands. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, I did that. Is he talking about me? I made a video that sounds just like this. And he's like, I think this person is in the room. Oh, I'm speaking like a Hasidic Jew right now. If I think this person's in the room, if they'd like to stand up, and I stand up and I start pointing, I'm like, that's me, right? He's like, it's you. It's you. He's like, and thank you for making people aware of our product. And he was doing it tongue in cheek. He wasn't angry. It was I sent them what I did and they absolutely loved what I did. I ripped on it because it is a terrible name. Paybu is a terrible name. It's a great product because for those who don't know, it's a very high interest rate credit card. That's obviously not a good thing. You always want to pay off your credit cards in full every month if you can. I wouldn't recommend leaving any money sitting on a Paybu credit card because it's very high interest rate. But if you have the ability to save up the money, Paybu, the thing that they came up with is that you pay full price, or you pay and you pay for the tax, but B&H gives you the tax back. They pay for the tax, like they cover it. That's 8%. That's 10% if you're in New York City trying to buy something. If you're in an 8% bracket in some states or cities, then you pay 8%, but B&H covers that for you. It's stupid. I don't even know how it works. I was like, how is this legal? And they explained it to me. They're like, well, we're still paying the tax. Why wouldn't it be legal? All that should matter is that the tax is getting paid. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they manage to do it, but they do it. And that is a very big competitive advantage to say, like, I'm just going to buy $20,000 worth of gear and save $2,000, right? $20,000 worth of gear is $1,000 in tax for every 10,000, right? Because it's $100 tax on 1,000. Yeah, 10%. So yeah, you're saving $2,000 right there. Like, that's just one of those things that's a no-brainer. I wish Alan's camera could do that, but a mom and pop isn't really capable of doing that. So I thought that was funny that he called out my video and I was there and I thought it sounded like me. And so yeah, that was funny when he went ahead and did that. What was interesting is when we left the event, they were giving out Lego B&H stores. Yes, Lego B&H stores. I'm sitting here with the book. 297 pieces. It's called the B&H Superstore 50th Anniversary Set. Custom set made out of genuine Lego bricks. It even comes with custom Jews. Oh, look at this. You open it up and it shows you how to put a Jew on. How to put a Jew together. It's got the legs. Oh, shit. This could go the wrong way if I start how to build a Jew. It comes with hair. Holy shit. Oh, that's a girl. I thought it was peachs. You know, the curly things on the side of Hasidic Jews' heads. They're called peachs. The curly hair. I thought that this has... does this B&H Lego figure have peachs? Hello, welcome to B&H. My name is Moishi. How may I be of a service? The one thing I don't know is, does it have a conveyor belt? I'm going through this page. Oh, look, they show me all the pieces. Oh my God. Do you know that it's a fact that I've never built a Lego set? I have never once built a Lego set. I didn't even know there were directions to follow Lego sets when I was a kid. I thought my Legos were just all thrown together in a box and I just built shit out of my brain. But no, I'm wrong. Holy shit, this is how it works? It's like step 1, step 2, step 10, step 11. Holy shit, this is how you build Legos? I have never done this. I don't know I have the patience to do this. But I got 2 sets, one for me and one for Steven. Dan didn't get one. If Dan wants one, he can build one. I'm going to try and build this one day. I think this would be, build, no pun intended. That's B-U-I-L-D, not B-I-L-D. This is actually pretty awesome. You should see it built. It looks just like B&H. I wonder if it has free candy. And where's the... so I'm inside. I'm looking inside. Let's see. Is there a conveyor belt? If it doesn't have a conveyor belt, I'll be very upset. Oh, it comes with lenses? Oh my God, there's lenses to build. That's amazing. So it's like a store set inside with a counter. Moishi's behind the counter. I think there's a printer. A laptop, a bunch of extra pieces. The Lego women are not Hasidic Jews because they don't work in the store. But if they did, they would be bald, and then you could get different hair wigs for women. The women, Hasidic Jews, women shave their head for some reason. I believe it's to be closer to their man or something. And then they wear wigs. I don't understand it personally. Oh, that actually brings up an interesting thing. There were these Jewish followers that came up to me. They were wearing their tzitzi, or it's like the tallest. They're tied in knots and they hang out the side of them. And the very nice people, these two, they were big fans, and I mean, no disrespect in this, but they came up to me. It was kind of like when my doorbell rang a few weeks ago, and the not Jehovah's Witness, the what was he called? The Church of Latter-day Saints guy was like, "Hello, would you like to come to church on Sunday?" And I was like, "No, I'm a Jew." These guys asked me, "Can they wrap me in tefillin? Would I like to be wrapped in tefillin?" And I said, "Fuck no." No. That was it. That was the easiest answer ever, is no, leave me alone. Don't push your religion on me. Whatever religion you are, don't push it on me. And I told him, I'm like, look, I'm a Jew. I'm born Jewish. I'm a Jew. But I don't practice and I don't believe. And so I do not want to be wrapped, and don't try to sell me. He tried to sell me on it. I'm like, I don't want to be wrapped in tefillin. Tefillin, if you Google it, go on YouTube, you could probably Google how to wrap tefillin or why do Jews wrap in tefillin. It's this box. One goes around your forehead, and it has in there's some paper that has prayers on it, and you put this box on your freaking head, and then you wrap it around your left arm or your right arm a certain amount of times, and it's supposed to help you get closer to God, get you closer to God. That's a Dan would love it, because that's that terrible band Tool, not Tool. I wanna you like an animal. I wanna tear you from the inside. I wanna F you like an animal. I'm Googling it. What are they called again? Oh, 9 Inch Nails. Dan will be very angry, except for the fact that Dan doesn't actually listen to the podcast, because he hasn't gotten a raise because he doesn't listen to the podcast. He would get a raise if he's like, "Hey, Jared, I was listening to the podcast, and you said if I listen, I'll get a raise." You will not actually get a raise. I'm just making a point there. So no, I chose not to. I told them no. I was like, "No, leave me alone. Don't do that." So I hope I didn't upset them with that, but really just don't push your religion, please, on me or anybody else. You shouldn't be doing that. That's it's a big no-no in my book. So I'm checking my notes here. Did you realize I haven't yawned? I think it's because I've gone much slower, which is actually good. Casey Neistat spoke this morning, which was the same stage as me, but the day after me. And I wasn't going to stay for the whole thing. I just wanted to show my face. I wanted to be there. But I actually stayed for most of his, because he had really good stuff to say about a creator that spoke directly to me, because I'm a creator. I do this, right, at a different level, not the same level as him. But it was interesting. He talked about coming up in a time. Yeah, there were some plugs for Joby, because they were the sponsor of his talk, and he's working with them with their microphones and bendy things that everybody uses. And he talked about B&H for a little bit, and how he always had when he went to New York, it was always to go to B&H. That was what he always wanted to see. More than anything else, it was to go to B&H to see the store, because that's what he was into. And he talked about the time, being born in 81. We're the same age. He's 42. I'm 42. He may have been born in 82, and I'm born in 81. And he talked about how we straddle Generation X and millennials, like we're the oldest millennials and the youngest Generation X's. And it's a tough place to be sometimes, because we didn't have computers like the kids have computers in their pocket today to edit. We didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have all of that in like 96, 97, 98. We had computers, but editing video was really not much of a thing. He talked about iMovie 1.0 coming out and how he used it, but he really showed, he showed his bike lanes video, the one video that he realized could reach tons of people. And now he told the story about how he would make movies, actual movies, not when he calls his YouTube videos movie. He calls them movies. I don't call them movies, but he talked about how they got he and his brother got the HBO show, and they did all the work with it, and they used regular camcorders, and they filmed it, and it took like a year, and then HBO bought it and then didn't put it out for 2 years. And when they finally did, they put it out on Friday nights at midnight when no one would watch it. So they basically buried it. And he's like, that sucked. I had no control. But when I started uploading stuff to YouTube, it showed me that I was in control and that I could reach people and that I didn't need someone else to do it. And he showed the bike lanes video where he runs into cars and obstacles in bike lanes after he got a ticket. It's a great video. He's a great storyteller. He's a great editor. The filming stuff isn't cinematic, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's about the story. He shouted out Peter McKinnon and the quality of work that he does cinematically, and he's a great storyteller too. But Casey really hammered home how he was in control of putting this stuff out on the internet, and that's how he realized he could start to grow. He showed the Nike video that he did, which was a third in a series where they had just took Nike's money and just traveled the world and made a video that didn't even show any Nike product in it, but it ended up being the most watched Nike video ever. And that was something that he was talking about when he started doing what he was doing. There wasn't a lot of creator partnerships and deals with big brands and companies. It was a new thing for a big established company to work with creators on the internet, on the YouTube space, in the YouTube world, to get their message across. And the best thing you can do for creators, and actually I said this at the panel, is let creators be creators. Let them do the thing you want them to do. Don't tell them what to do. Don't give them bullet points to hit. Just tell them, here's what the product does. Make a fucking video that you love, showcase our product in it, and put it out into the world. That's what we like to do the most here. That I will turn down things where they get too overbearing, where they want to check it and edit it. No, just let us be us. You're going to be happy with what we do, and we do it. So Casey's speech was very good. He also talked about Mr. Beast, the beastification of it. And he talked about, Jimmy Dolan, Dolan's Jimmy, whatever his name is, Mr. Beast. He talked about how great it is that someone is getting 100 million, 200 million views on videos consistently. Casey talked about a time when he was one of the biggest on YouTube, getting millions of views on a video, where he would talk with YouTube and they were trying to dole out money to creators to see who's going to get 20 million views on videos per video. And that was like what they were aiming for. And Mr. Beast has a totally different method of doing things. He'll analyze, and Casey talked about this, every second of a video. Like, if I'm smiling in a thumbnail, does it do better than frowning? If I'm frowning, does it do better than smiling? Why at 6 seconds did it not do as good? Like, what did we do at 6 seconds that didn't work? Those are the things that Mr. Beast does. Overanalyzes videos to the nth degree to try and make it better for the next time in terms of watch time. And Casey said, I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever to Mr. Beast. I think he's fantastic and great at what he does. But for me, it's about creating the content, putting it out into the world, and that's it. Like, it's what I want to make. He talked about Quentin Tarantino, saying, do you think Quentin Tarantino is going to sit there and analyze it and focus test a section of a movie and give a shit what someone else says when he's the one who's making the movie the way that he wants to make it? So there's nothing right or wrong with that. Everybody has their different styles. I'm in the same boat as Casey with, we want to make the video, put it out into the world, and we're not going to overanalyze the analytics and sit there and be like, at 57 seconds, there was a little downturn. What did I do there? I don't want to do that again. And I don't want to worry about that stuff. I don't want to get down to that granular level and worry about it. That's not what I want to do. So anyway, I left Casey's thing because I had to get home. But Casey did a fantastic job. Let me talk about meeting people before I get into my presentation. I'm going to drink water. This is something Steven would probably cut out, but WNBC. Hold on. WNBC. WNBC. Howard Stern Private Parts. Fantastic movie if you've never seen it. There were so many people at this event that stopped me. I could not move a foot and not be stopped by 4, 5, 6 people shaking my hands. And I shake everybody's hands. I try not to touch my face after it. I do touch my phone, which isn't good because then the germs do get on the phone and then I don't clean it. But I try not to touch my face. I don't eat. I go wash my hands as often as I can. But even if I wash my hands, I'm still shaking somebody as soon as I come out of the bathroom. And sometimes in the bathroom, someone wants to shake my hand. But it's awesome to meet so many people who thank me for what I do. And thanks, Steven, for what we do. Dan, not so much. But they come up, they're appreciative, they want to get a selfie. Somebody came in from like Kentucky, drove like 12 hours to get there. Some people flew in from the islands. I don't know which islands they flew in from. Somebody came from California, so they came just to see me. I mean, that's incredibly humbling to have people travel in to see me, right? I had to learn from my past how to accept the praise and accept the thanks from people when they come up to me and I just say, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Right. So I've gotten very good at it. It was hard for me to do, hard for me to accept that stuff, but I've learned, and it's great. It means a lot. It's impressive. My dad loves it, right? When I was at the U.S. Open, I told my buddy Keith, he always keeps track of how many times I get stopped. I think it was like 12 to 15 people stopped me. And then there's a bunch of people who look at you and smile like they know who you are and they don't say anything. But it's just great that it happens. It's better than the alternative, right? People ask, like, does it get old? And no, it doesn't get old. If it gets old, you're an asshole. Or I also said to my friend as we were leaving, I'm like, can you imagine how a real celebrity must feel when they walk through a place and everybody wants to talk to them and stop them? Like, this was a photo event, so this was my bread and butter. People are going to stop me because they know me. And that's great. Stop me. You see me, stop me, say hi. You see me in public, stop me and say hi. Don't stay around too long. Like, if I'm eating dinner, don't stay around too long. Just stop and say hi. I appreciate it. I want you to do that. I don't want you to just ignore and then be upset that you didn't get a selfie. Ask for the selfie. I'll do it. Regardless of my mood, I've learned how I have to be excited in those situations. Even if I'm having a shitty day or a shitty experience, it's not your fault. And that's just a thing everybody needs to learn, is not to take it out on somebody else. So it was great to shake hands with so many people and take selfies with so many people. It was fantastic. Now, let's talk about my presentation. It was called Fro Uncensored, or Fro Knows Photo Uncensored. Someone emailed in and said it should have been raw and uncensored. Or they didn't email, they left a comment and said it was very raw and uncensored. Now, the reason I said that it was Fro Uncensored is because I didn't like the title that B&H sent over the first time, and I said, just call it Fro Uncensored. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Was I going to talk about... They had me down for business talk, right? I don't want to talk about how we make money on the YouTube, the internet. I mean, I love talking about business. I do. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something unexpected. I wanted to do something that people never thought that I would do. I know people have a perception of me. They have a perception of the guy I play on the internet, which is me. And I said this during the speech. I'm like, that's me. But on a different level, I raise my level, my energy, my intensity. It's different. But I am that guy in real life, but I'm not that guy all the time. So people sometimes don't understand that. But the direction that I chose to go was to talk about photo stories and to talk about personal projects. And I led into what I didn't say, which was an unintentional photo story. The story of my mom's photos, right? My photo story of my mom with cancer. And that's the direction I wanted to go. I talked about what camera I used just because I wanted to put it into perspective, why I was using a D3, a 14 to 24, 24 to 70. Why did I just take a bag of cameras and lenses, a camera bag and a couple of lenses to the hospital when my mom got rushed to the hospital by my dad? And I talked about, well, the reason I did is I just got it and I wanted to take pictures and try it in low light. It was selfish. I talked about being selfish, and I think as photographers, we have to be selfish in certain situations. So you can watch this presentation. I give this presentation, it's 45 minutes, there's a Q&A at the end. I put the link in the description so that you can watch it. I highly recommend you check it out. Let me know what you think about it. You can always call us at the 313 whatever, text us at the number that's down in the description as well. I just still don't have my note since I moved. I don't have my note here. I should probably write it down again. But the reason I wanted to do a presentation that would cause me to cry, because my mom's photos do cause me to cry, is I want that emotion to be portrayed. I want people to see the raw emotion. I want them to see that it's real. And I want them to see that it's about the photo story and not the gear in the photo story. What was captured, not the gear that I used to capture the photo story. I would stop and talk about cameras a little bit during the presentation. I stopped and talked about one of the grainy photos, and I said, does it matter that it's grainy? Do you need to put noise reduction on it? Do you need to do that stuff? Do you need to buy some bullshit software? We used to have film that was super grainy, 800 speed, 32 Delta, Ilford Delta 3200. It was very grainy, but it didn't matter. And I just tell people that it doesn't matter. If you get the shot, that's all that matters. No one's looking at that winning picture going, I wish they did that with an XYZ camera. So I also said, look, I talk about the gear not mattering in this situation, but I do understand that I make a lot of videos that involve gear. And the reason I do that is those are the videos that bring people in to watch. But I also want you to understand that it's not all about the gear. It's about the story. And so I was talking about how you build a photo story. My mom's was unintentional. There would be a day or two that passed and there would be different images. There would be a couple weeks between shoots, and then there was 9 months between it. And I'm going to leave that part at that so that you can watch the whole story and see how it goes through and see it in real time for yourself. But I did choke up, and it's always going to happen to me. It's the one thing that triggers my emotions to cry. But then I also said on stage, like, I can cry for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, but it never goes beyond that. For whatever reason, my system shuts down the crying mechanism. I would love to just let it go and bawl it out. I haven't done that in years. I didn't cry when my mom died. I mean, I cried, but I'd never let it go. I let it go when I broke up with this girl, and I think that emotion got to me, and I was very upset. And I wasn't upset that I was upset that it was ending, right? I was upset that it was a failure, in my opinion. You know, it's a failure. It didn't work. So I felt that failure at that time, and I just bawled there, and she was there, and I just let it out. That may have been just a lot of pent up emotions over years, because it was still 5-6 years after my mom died, and I hadn't let it out. So I give the presentation, and then we do the Q&A. I did get nervous about 2 minutes before I went on. Just an inkling of nerves hit me. But then I got on stage, I did my introduction, people start to laugh, and I start giving the presentation. Now, it's very difficult to read a room when you're giving a presentation where there's not a lot of, it's sad, but there's not a lot of feedback to get. You try as a speaker to get some feedback on occasion, where you ask a question that everybody has to answer one way or another, where you get an answer. All you need to do is elicit a response. Who here's breathing, right? If it comes down to it, who's here breathing? And everybody raises their hand. That's just, you want to make sure people are still alive and paying attention. When I was doing the Q&A, I felt like I was so in the zone. I was speaking clearly. I was speaking succinctly. It felt like I was articulating things perfectly. I felt truly at home on the stage and calm, not nervous at all. And I will tell everybody this. And if you ever have been on a stage, you will realize that the lights blind you to everything beyond the first or second row. And so you can't see anybody. So it's like there's no one there. So there's nothing to be nervous about. Just get up there and do it. You know what you do. Get up there and speak. You're good at it. You may not be good at it, but just go up and do it. Don't be afraid, and don't worry about what people are saying. You're the one up on stage doing it. That was a revelation I had years and years ago when I was in Israel, and I got up on stage with the Bedouin dancers and belly danced with them without my shirt on. The lights were shining in my face. This was 2008 after my mom passed away, 2009 actually. And I got yelled at as a photographer by the guy who was running, maybe don't get on stage. I was like, whatever, fuck off. And I got on stage and I did it. And everybody congratulated me later because I actually was the one who went up and did it. I felt like dancing. I still point to that, and I have the video. I still point to that as a pivotal moment in me understanding that I can be in front of the camera. Or the pivotal moment, it wasn't about being in front of the camera, but it was about, I have nothing to be afraid of in front of all these people. Because if you're the one who goes in front of those people and you have the balls or whatever to go and do it, and you're the one that does it while everybody else watches because they're afraid to do it, then you have something that they don't have. They can't take that away from you, that you're the one who went up there and did it. And so that was just a major revelation for me. But I felt really calm on stage. And then after I didn't know that there was going to be a meet and greet table set up outside of the room. I didn't know that. The guy, after I was done speaking, was like, do you want to sneak out the back door? And I was like, I can't do that. I won't do that. I want to meet everybody. I mean, I'm not a big deal. I'm a guy who makes videos on YouTube. I'm a photographer. I think I'm really good at what I do. But people do want to meet me. So I went outside. I stood there for probably another 45 minutes to an hour, shaking hands, taking selfies until everybody was done. It is tiring to do that. It's also risky, germs. What are you going to do? I'm not going to worry about it. I shake people's hands. You take pictures. You breathe the same air. People want to meet me. I'm going to do that. So I waited. I talked. I shook hands. I took pictures. I answered questions. I mean, it's just fantastic to be able to go and be recognized. I said it during the presentation on the panel that because a point came up about, do you go back and read the comments? And I'm like, do I go back and read the comments? I'm like, fuck no. Like most of the time, no, because you'll just get angry. And I'm like, no one's ever called me an asshole in person, but they call me an asshole all the time and tell me how much I suck in the comments. Not one person out of the 400 or 500 people that came up to talk to me at this event, no one came up and was like, I hate your videos. Right? It doesn't happen. It's damaging in it's a pain in the ass online when people tell you suck. They'll never tell you in person. There was only that one time where one drunk guy at a bar kept hammering me that his friend hated me, and finally a friend of mine told him to fuck off before I did, which was fine. But no one comes up to you in person here and tells you that you suck. Everybody was respectful, and it was great. So I'm happy that I got to give a speech that surprised people. I got a bunch of texts from people. The B&H people were surprised at what I was doing. They didn't expect that. They were afraid. They didn't know what I was going to say. And that's where I like to leave these things, is people not knowing what I'm going to say. So I got a lot of feedback about it. Let me find this from one guy that I follow. He wrote to me, he sent a text. He said, I watched your presentation on YouTube tonight. And this is a guy who, a photo editor, old school, wants to make you cry as a critiquer, as a photographer. He's from the school where the editor is going to make you cry if you mess something up. If you miss the shot, it's your fault. He's going to tell you why, and he's going to make you cry. He said, I watched your presentation YouTube tonight. Really fabulous job. Both the talk and the Q&A. Terrific message. They were all lucky to be there. Yeah, the message he's talking about is that I really hammered home the storytelling and how that is so much more important than anything else. The gear doesn't matter at the end of the day if you're telling a great story. And then like I said, I explained why we make videos about gear, because that's what people see. Whereas you can put out a video that is you spent 3 weeks or a month or a year working on that doesn't have a clicky title, and it's much harder to get someone to watch. But it is what it is in that situation. He said, your story was real and from the heart. The pictures were great, and you were also teaching everyone. And that's what I said. I said, thanks, man. I don't need to talk about making money on YouTube or business. Let's talk actual photography. He says, exactly. He said, obviously I wasn't there, but on the video, it seemed like you got a great response from the people that were there. And I got a lot of, I wanted to show this. I wanted people to see this. I also want people to understand that it's all right to cry. It's all right to show your damn emotion. People don't expect that from me because they expect what they see from my YouTube videos, and they don't know me personally. They don't know who I am and what I'm made of and how I act and my emotions and what I care about. They don't know that. I can show that to people, and that's what this was about. Give people the unexpected. If people know exactly what you're going to do, then what's the point? And so it was unexpected, but it was what my goal was to make people feel, and my goal was to make people cry. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to share the photo story, the importance of it, and I didn't know how it would work. I didn't know how it would go off. It's very hard to read a room when you're doing a story like this, but I think it went off really well. And I think it resonates with almost everybody in the world, because everybody knows somebody who has died of cancer, or been affected by cancer, or who has died from something, lost a parent, lost a grandparent. Everybody understands it. And so that's why I went that direction. You want people to feel. That's what makes a great image, is if people feel from the image. So, let me check my notes here, see if there's anything else to talk about. But I didn't intend to go 50 freaking minutes by myself. I didn't yawn as much. I slowed down, which was really good. This Lego B&H thing, I don't know how the hell you're supposed to build it. I don't know how you follow directions. I really don't know how you follow directions. I was hoping there was a conveyor belt, but there is no conveyor belt. That's a fail. God damn it, B&H. One job. This thing is really cool. I'll put an Insta story up with the, oh my God, it's so cool because they have the green awnings for the outside, and then on the inside, you have the B&H store. It's just really cool. And there's a B&H employee, there's a male and a female, and they're waving at you. I just think that's great. That's an unbelievable leave behind. That's why I took 2 of them. I'm sure I could get more, and I'm sure maybe you could get some at the B&H store. I didn't even say what episode it is. It's episode 67. Stephen hopefully is back next week for the podcast at the very least, and he'll give us an update on everything. So I thank you guys very much for listening. Jared Polin for NosPhoto.com. See ya.